Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody.
How's everybody doing this morning? Kermit Williams
Is in the building with us. Y'all see her?
in the studio.
Good morning. Good morning.
Kermit,
Uh, You like
hello.
Hello, hello. How's everybody? Good. I thought you was gonna do an intro. I'm just waiting for
well,
the
you
queen
know,
and the doctor. I'm
Okay.
just letting it flow.
Wait a minute. So he wants an intro.
co-hosts don't usually get intros.
Yeah,
I moved up in
yeah,
order.
you moved up.
Mama, we made it.
We so
Was it-
excited to
right.
have you in the studio, though. Listen,
We are.
we have the mayoral candidate in the
In the
studio
building.
with us. If you are were listening last week, he was on. He shared some phenomenal information, and it was so good. We was like, you know what? We need to bring you in here with us. So now here we are. Today's the day.
But today is the day, and I'm very excited about it. It's been nothing but love. Last week was phenomenal. We were on for 20 minutes, but it was so much, and so I'm very happy that you guys are here, and not only that you're making an impact not only in Pontiac but in the Oakland County region every week. So I'm glad that you're doing that, and I'm glad to be a co-host, Mama. So I'm telling everybody. So we now in the driver's seat. So just let them know. They gave us the little car seat last time, and now we're getting in the front. So I'm excited.
You
Okay,
got the
so
keys this time.
so
You
let,
got the
let me
keys.
just for you guys that didn't know, he was having a little jokey joke last week, and he said that he followed someone, he followed Isha, and he was feeling some kind of way in a nice little way, and he actually, we decided to bring him on this week as a co-host, and he asked us for an introduction, and we're not going to give him an introduction because co-hosts again don't need introduction. So, but we're gonna go ahead and get started with our show today. Our word of the day, word of the week is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And we would like you guys to put in the comments what do you sacrifice every day? What do you sacrifice in your career, your personal life, your church life, most definitely. What do
Yeah.
you sacrifice?
Yeah. Let's get started. Kermit, you hear that word sacrifice. What do you think about it?
I think about every good thing comes with sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you truly love or do that you don't sacrifice for.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we make choices in our personal lives, in our professional lives, in anything that we want to be great at or anything that we want to succeed, we
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice for. And so you have to give it. And so immediately when you think about sacrifice, I think about the religious aspect of it
Yeah.
and what Jesus gave. And we're going into that Advent Christmas season right
Mm-hmm.
now and just thinking about how, Jesus sacrificed to give us all life and joy and hope and all of that other things. And then he said, now if you're going to live, then you got to sacrifice too. You got to
That's
pick up a
right.
cross and follow me. And sometimes we don't want to pick up that cross. We don't want to sacrifice. We just want things handed to us. And a lot of people don't want to go through that turmoil and trial to get to where they got to get to.
Sacrifice may hurt. So
Mm-hmm.
I heard you say a word, love, right? So to me, when I think about sacrifice, love is sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
because love really it challenges you. When you truly love people, you move beyond how you feel. Because
Mm-hmm.
love is an
Mm,
action, it's really not a
mm,
feeling. And so when I thought about that, even as a therapist, right?
mm,
So we invest so much into the people we serve. So you have emotional labor that because first of all, you take on other people's issues. You don't carry them with you out of session, but while you're there, you're actively listening,
mm,
you're showing empathy, so you're right there with them. And sometimes you can develop compassion fatigue because you're so compassionate about the person, about what you're doing, and you want to see them healthy, whole, and well. And another sacrifice that I find myself in is that there's no work life balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. And so outside of that, you really have to take some time, pull away, and sacrifice for yourself. But the last thing I wanted to say, you talked about us being an Advent, and you talked about Christ, and me as a Christian. There's some things that I sacrifice every day, and to me, sacrifice is actually moving past what you would normally do to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is spending time in prayer, preparing for the day. That's the sacrifice. Some people jump up, and just go. I can't do that.
Oh yeah, well, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Anything that love is a choice, right, doctor? And so when you start talking about really loving something or loving somebody, whatever you love will not give back to you what you gave to them, right? And so people are all the time now. Every time they give somebody a sandwich, every time they do something, it's got to be on Facebook. It's got to be a post. It's got to be all of those things. And I just think about the scripture that talks about what you do in secret, God will reward you openly, right? And we live in a society where we're not doing that right now. Like everything's got to be with my name on it. It's got to be shown, and it's got to be like have these giveaways and other things, and they're always showing people's face when they're doing it. And I'm like, why are you doing that? If that was your mother, would you want it shown like that? No, you would just want that help. And we came from a community, especially in Pontiac, where a lot of the people who moved here or first or second generation, they literally got on the bus, said they were going to work for Generous Motors, right?
Generous.
Generous Motors fed the family, though.
How about Generous
Generous Motors fed the
So
family.
I'm glad he said that because I
Yeah.
know you going right
Yeah.
into that sacrifice.
So-
But Cameron, one of the things I wanted to say, you referenced Matthew 7 when it tells us to pray in secret and God will reward us openly. I loved how you put that even with service because the things we do in secret, God rewards us openly. We don't have to put it on public display. And so you segue right into Generous Motors where I know Regina is going.
But let me just say this. Let me just comment on what you just said. A lot of people do that because when did Facebook come around? Facebook, social media, you had MySpace. Facebook was around since 2007, 2008?
Right around
Right,
that.
somewhere around there. So that's when
Early
everybody figured that they wanted to showboat, right? And everybody does it. When you come to the President of the United States, right? When it comes to, I was going to say, the mayor of Detroit or the mayor of City of Pontiac, everybody. Or even in somebody helping a homeless person. Everybody's displaying everything that they do. But let me segue in what that means to me, sacrifice. So sacrifice to me is like financial risk, right? Is because maintaining a positive attitude all the time and where I think, how I feel, I have to be on 29 every day. When I say 29, everything I do is tied to selling cars. That's just how I've been 24/7, right? The minute I walk out the door, I have to be Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. I can't, I came in the building this morning a little loud and said a couple words, and then Dr. T said, well, people are in the building, right? So everything I do is tied to financial, selling cars, what I do, how I move, and then when things slow down, I have to figure out how I can be positive, right? So having you on this program today, actually, I want to say this. Last week, we had the most views we've ever had since being on. Was it our month anniversary yet? With Santi?
Today would mark our month.
Is it our month with you?
Yeah, today marks.
Congratulations to us for our month. But sacrifice is even getting up in the morning here, coming and being tied together. Because last week was our 1,300 views that we had. So we want to give ourselves a round of applause for that.
And so we do have some questions that will be put in the chat so that you all have an opportunity to win some things today. But please note that Regina said this is our 1 month anniversary here in the podcast form, but that is not how long we've been together.
So wow, okay, I did say that, didn't I?
Yes,
so,
you did.
So let me also say this. The question of today is on the bottom of the screen. How many dealerships did Joe Longhammer own in Michigan?
Michigan. Yeah.
That's
You got a few minutes to Google.
So
and
you
find out.
you have a few minutes. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
So how many dealerships did Joe Longhammer own? Also, the giveaway is we are giving away a 4-day test drive.
4 days.
4 days.
4 days.
400 miles on an electric EV.
Yes.
But you must have your car. You must leave a car at the dealership. So you can't come pick up the EV without leaving a vehicle at the dealership.
And folks, come with your driver's license.
And your insurance.
You got to show proof of driver's license and
Go
insurance.
in.
And you have to leave your keys at the dealership. we not giving you a free vehicle. but you are able to test drive it for 4 days. That's a good weekend gift.
That is.
Yeah,
That is.
come on.
Yeah, so Regina, you were saying that you sacrifice and it's all about finances, but I've watched you give to the community in season and out of season. So I know that you've got a job and you do it very well, but I think that your heart is in the right place. And I think when we start talking about why people do what they do,
Oh yeah, the why.
sometimes the
Yeah.
motive is what bothers me.
Mm,
Mm.
If you wouldn't do it in private, don't do it in public.
that's good.
That's
That's the thing. So we have a lot of people that put on personas and other things that are not genuine. What it is. I put a post yesterday up on my Facebook that integrity is the new Rich and Millie,
It
right?
is. Yes.
Because it's so rare nowadays that you find like genuine people or people that are doing it for a genuine reason. Everybody has a motive. Everybody has a why. Everybody has that. But when it's pure, it just makes a huge difference. And so that's the part that I want to commend you with is you're giving financial literacy all the time, regardless if these people ever buy a car or not. You're trying to put them in a better spot. And I don't even know if you know that you're doing that, but that's what it boils down to. You don't have to do this. There's millions of car dealers across the country, right? But there's very few people that will say, listen, I'm going to tell you what to do, regardless if you come to Joe Longhammer or you go to Subaru or whatever. We just want to make sure you're in the right place and that you're not getting gouged.
Yeah,
And
and got a book out. So you can not only do you get this free information, but you get to look in a book. And I appreciate that. And I know, Regina, when you were talking about financial sacrifices, most people who sell vehicles or do anything that are entrepreneurs, if they don't sell a vehicle, it impacts their pocket. So when you talk about a sacrifice, you're talking about, because in every person who's an entrepreneur, you have months that's better than others. And I'm an entrepreneur myself. Outside of me contracting with others, you have months that are better than others. So the reality that finances is real,
But it's
sacrifice is real.
It's also tied to emotions. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You have to, your emotions, your head has to be in the right space.
That's
You have to
absolutely right.
I have to maintain a positive attitude.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it can be very draining,
Mhm.
and then I have to always have that face on, but they don't know when I don't have that face on, I come unglued sometime. And the reason I come unglued sometime is because of the
And then
passion
she
for
on my
what I
couch,
do. Right. Then I'm on the couch.
yeah, I got you. But even with those, you got to have boundaries, and
Yeah.
you do have to, and Kermit, you know this, you have to have boundaries.
How
right?
do you make boundaries?
Well,
though?
you first of all, you got to understand your positioning. So when in order to make a boundary, you have to not only make the boundary but stand by the boundary. So, for instance, Kermit, share with us a boundary
Okay,
that
so
you have in place right now.
So the boundary I have right now is my phone goes on do not disturb
Boom.
at 9 p.m. Right?
And when do it come off?
And so it comes off at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Boom.
right? But at 9 o'clock, because people will call you with an issue when you're available. And so they'll make their crisis your crisis at 11 o'clock at night when they could have dealt with it in the morning time.
At 11 a.m.
Right.
Come on,
And so
that's
my
good.
favorite
Come on
movie is
now.
The Five Heartbeats.
Come
right?
on now.
And he says my office hours
Are what?
from 9.
Come on, Big Red.
right? And so we have to make sure that we start letting people know that because people are resilient. It's a lot of people that will do for themselves if you let them do for themselves.
Yes.
But if you rescue them all the time,
Yeah, we
then
handicapped folks.
you will always be rescuing. And so
Yeah.
setting that boundary, because I read a book, Setting Boundaries, and they basically defined it as you're not saying no to something, you're saying yes to
Yes,
something
to
else.
something else. That's
You
right.
get what I'm
I
saying?
love
And
that.
it's hard to say no, especially when you're a people pleaser, right? And so when you let,
How do you get out not being a people pleaser? though?
you're not gonna get out of it. You just have to tame it. Whatever you feed grows.
Grows and
Right,
it gets
and
fat.
so you have to start saying like, okay, I need to spend time with my family. I need to spend time with myself. How am I going to do that if I'm always answering the phone? If I'm always talking business and I'm not unplugging, then I got a bad attitude when I'm answering the phone, right? And so I want to make sure, especially when I was on city council, because Joe Woods always told me, you work for the people. The people are your boss, right?
You said Joe Woods told you that?
Joe Woods, Mr. Joe Woods, the late, great Joe Woods, one of the first union men at General Motors, came all the way out of the foundry. His picture's up at 653 right now for all of the work he did. But we had a lot of great Pontiac legends. But Mr. Woods is one of them that got me involved in politics. He picked me up from college, taking my couch back home, and on that 3-hour drive back, he talked to me about getting involved with the Democratic Club and all that other stuff. And he said they was gonna have donuts, so I showed up.
So you showed up for the
You showed
donuts?
up for the donut.
Listen, y'all don't remember college hunger. I don't think y'all.
Yeah, it
remember.
was.
No.
Listen,
Y'all don't remember when y'all
listen.
had to, get those extra meals, when you was tired of noodles. So when people said they was gonna feed you for free, you were coming. So we showed up, and at that meeting, shout out to Maddie Hatchett, we ended up having one of the greatest groups of all times called Pontiac Area Young Democrats. In that group was former state representative Tim Milton, our current mayor Tim Grimel, Commissioner Angela Powell, the great Roland Elam business owner, Steve Kennedy. Who else was in that group? And that was all founding members. And then I know later on, Alexandria Riley came on. And so we had a very powerful group that came out and were young leaders in the community. And now we've been doing this. I was the youngest at the time, and we've been doing this 20 years now.
I got to pause you for a minute because we got to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Master Baker Sierra Crudup, owner of Delicious Sweets Bake Shop and Craven Cookies, located at 203 South Washington Street in Saginaw, Michigan, inside of the SVRC Marketplace. If you're looking for delicious sweets, this is the place to stop in. They specialize in homemade desserts and one-of-a-kind custom cakes. They can be reached at 248-836-8080 or dsibakeshop.com.
Are you paying high interest rates on car loans? Are you repeatedly getting denied when applying for credit cards? Or perhaps you'd like to buy a home and you're not sure you'd qualify. Did you know that turning your credit around can be done in less time than you think? Better credit doesn't just happen. You've got to make it happen. And I am here to help you do just that. I've helped hundreds of people better their credit and their overall financial situation by applying a simple set of steps that anyone can follow. Contact me today. I am your financial life coach, Kathy Washington, 1-800-988-9184. That number again is 1-800-988-9184. Contact me today for your free consultation and let us help you get your financial house in order.
Hi, I'm Joe Lunghammer at Joe Lunghammer Chevrolet in Waterford. And if you're looking for a newer used car and you have up to $500, then Regina, what would you do for me today?
I'm going to take your $500 and turn it to $1,000 on any newer used vehicle on our lot.
And this is only good till the end of the month. So if you're looking for a newer used car and you have $500, we'll turn it into $1,000.
Then come and say, give me the queen, or go to thequeendeals.com.
We are back at Being in the Driver's Seat, and I am so excited to be here with Dr. T and the Queen of Car Loans, and we're talking about everything Pontiac, everything mayoral, everything about changing the future, and I am really excited about how we got started. And the word for today is sacrifice. If you're going to be great, you got to sacrifice all the time, and we've just been talking about how we make those boundaries in our lives that we need to make in order to be great. And sometimes you got to sacrifice some friendships, you got to sacrifice some people's feelings in order to make it to where you need to be.
That's good right there. That's good right there. So Kermit, let's talk to the listeners a little bit about what's going on in Pontiac.
Okay, well, Pontiac, its greatest assets are its people and its location. a lot of people don't realize how we got started in politics. And before we went to break, we were talking about how I got involved in the Pontiac area, Young Dems, and all of that stuff. And out of that, I was able to become the president of the Young Democrats of Michigan, the first one that was outside of the city of Detroit. So big shout out to Pontiac because it's the center of the universe. The late, great Hubert Price made that quote. So I try to keep it alive and make it famous every room I go into and let people know that Pontiac is the center of the universe. But one of the things is when I first ran for city council and got the second time, because the first time I lost by 35 votes. So when people tell you every vote matters, every vote
does matter.
Literally.
I'm still looking at some of my cousins sideways. But anyway.
Did you ask for a recount when that happened?
We did get a recount, and they found more votes. So it started off, I think I was down by 35 votes. When it was all said and done, it was like 20 votes I lost by. So that was a crazy thing. But we learned election night that they have to go with the count that they have on election night. So it's very important.
But wait, I got a question. So listen,
Election night?
When you see things like that you're down made 20 votes and things like that, does that fuel you to keep going, or did you kind of get upset? Like, how does that leave you?
I was all of those things, but I was very passionate. So immediately we got back to work after we lost. I became the CDC president, and the next time I ran for city council, I was running unopposed. A lot of people lose elections and then they disappear. Nobody owes you a vote. Like, it's a blessing to get people, and especially a group of people, a large number of people, to say that I support what you're doing. But elections are job interviews. And so just because you didn't win their hearts and their mind that time, that doesn't mean you stop looking for jobs.
Wow, that's
right?
so good.
A lot of people just disappear. They lose. You ain't seen them at a barbecue, at a picnic, and then they pop back up. They like, we should be on the ballot again. Why? What have you been doing in the meantime? You showed me that you didn't love me, and then you come back every time and time again. But I'm not talking about that today.
What was
It's
the
one of the
sacrifice?
boundaries I said I'm gonna sacrifice. Talking about these people that disappear only to election time.
Well,
but
I commend you because you're absolutely right. Because I can say about you're always around no matter what. Whether you're running for office or not, you're very involved. You're in front of the people. You're in front, you're behind, and you're in the middle. So that's a note out to all you. I don't want to say all you people. Anybody that actually that was a little ghetto of me. But yeah. So let me just say, if you plan to run for office in Michigan, in Pontiac, or anywhere, you have to stay in front of people.
Yeah.
You always have to be working and letting people know what you do. And that's the great thing about social media. We said that people, we got to social media and that's what people, do all the time, right? But social media helps everybody.
Oh, yeah, it's some positives with
It's
it.
a positive thing
Yeah.
about it. So just, if you don't get anything today, know that if you're running for office in the next 2 years, 3 years, you always want to stay in front of people. You want to go to those picnics. You want to go to those community events. And I want to say one thing, and I'm going to let you go ahead because I see you got something to say still, always. But let me just say this. When we have legends that pass away in the community, right? Like, shout out to the, praying for the Portia Fields family and her and Ben. But people show up to funerals and they make it a big deal because they want to be seen. And okay, I'm not even gonna go. I'm gonna turn that around. I'm not even gonna go
Let me
there.
just say this while we can
on
talk
that.
about Portia. She was my tap dance teacher, right? Yeah,
Can you tap?
No, not at all. But I know like I have no rhythm. I got like 2 left feet, so y'all won't be seeing me ballrooming or whatever. So I took 1 ballroom class to remedial. So big shout out to DJ Chris Kelly. He was very kind to me. But
Ooh, he wasn't kind to me, Chris Kelly. He was yelling at me.
But see, I started off telling him I need the
'Cause you
free
can't-
remedial.
'cause y'all can't dance.
He said that I don't listen. Chris said I don't listen.
So you got to listen. But I think that people like Portia was always serving.
Yeah.
And so when
Always.
you go to the funeral and you just see the different groups of people
Yeah.
that she impacted, makes a huge difference, with or without a title. And that's important. Some things just got to be in you.
Yeah.
And some
It's
people
innate, yeah.
want to be famous and they don't want to be servants. And I think that's the disconnect because people feel like if I just put out a flyer, if I just knock on the door, if I just call you, you owe me. And then people feel entitled. They say, listen, you've been my friend since junior high school. How can you not vote for you? Listen, I got cousins that I can't hire for Oakland Forward. because I know they're not going to do right. And we're going to fall out. I'd rather just give you the $100 than have you come to work for a day and then I got to fire you. Now I got to do all this extra paperwork because we know your work ethic and what's doing. I still love you, but I can't hire you. And so that's the same way I look at every election. Everybody that's coming that's on the ballot, what are the qualities they're bringing and how are they going to make the people's lives of Pontiac better? Like I said, Pontiac's people is the number one asset with the location. Certain things are going to happen in Pontiac, just like Amazon is going to come because we're on 75, we're on Woodward, we're on Telegraph, but the people make the difference. But right now, the people feel invisible, right? They feel like they're not seen, that they're not heard, and we keep doing stuff for company, right? We'll clean up for the Dream Cruise, we'll clean up. We got the parade covered today. I mean, the streets look phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if you can't get your trash picked up next week, and you've been paying taxes all year round, that's a problem. And so the simple things in our city is not happening, right? 70% of the people who work in the city of Pontiac live outside of the city of Pontiac. That's not a good ratio, right? And so I go down Auburn Road, right, and I look at Livernois in Detroit, and I see a black-owned corridor, right?
Sure
Of
do.
businesses
I work down
making
the
it
street.
happen, and you work down the street, right? We don't have that in Pontiac, even though Pontiac is 52% African American. How do we not have a cultural district? Think about it. If you look at Martin Luther King Boulevard, right, named after one of our greatest civil rights leaders of all time, I can't count the black-owned businesses that's on it.
Literally.
But so Kermit, I hear you saying all that, but what makes you the best candidate? Why should someone vote for you? I don't live in Pontiac, right? And you're right. Most of the people that actually work in Pontiac or support Pontiac, right?
Yeah.
They live outside of Pontiac, and I'm one of them, right? But if so I don't vote in Pontiac. I'm just so you know. But what makes you the best? Why should someone vote for you?
Well, two things, Regina. So we're going to build a Pontiac homecoming. Just because you don't live in Pontiac doesn't mean you can't contribute to Pontiac. So we're welcoming these doors. We got people from all over the country. When you go down to Texas,
So that's why
when you
we
go down
don't.
to-
That's why we're not advertising here because we don't live in Pontiac.
No, that's because you just.
No, I'm
don't
just
wanna give
kidding.
me- You don't want to give me the
I live in
invoice.
Pontiac.
I know, I'm
But
just- I'm just starting stuff.
That's where we at. But we got people in Houston. We got people in Atlanta. We've got people all over the country making huge impact. And they can come back. They can teach a kid how to read. They can do a homecoming. They can donate money. All of these people are welcome in Pontiac because once you're from Pontiac, you're from Pontiac. I don't care if you're a transplant. I don't care where you're from. What I'm saying right now is it's harder for somebody inside the city of Pontiac to get a job in Pontiac than somebody visiting. And that's a problem. And so we need to change the way. We got to do for home first. And so what makes me the best candidate is because I'm willing to listen, right? So we started in my first election when I won, we were under emergency management. So for the first 8 years that I was in service, right, the city was not only in deficit, but getting all the assets slashed. Retirees were losing their health care. They lost their life insurance and all of those other things. We went to 2,000 employees before I took office. The day we took office, we were down to less than 150 employees in the city. And then we watched and rebuilt that. We took these jobs when it wasn't sexy. Everybody wasn't beating
He
down.
said when it wasn't sexy.
Wasn't beating
Listen.
down the door to become mayor. We fought against emergency management. At one time, all we could do as city council people was open meetings and close meetings, right?
Yeah.
Not only did we go to Lansing, we got a ballot initiative done. Shout out to Brandon Jessup. We got signatures from all over the state of Michigan, and we actually won on the ballot. But because lame duck happened, the same day that they got rid of, put in right not to work, is the same day they codified.
What's the
emergency-
lame duck?
Lame duck is what the season we're in right now. So you saw we just had this big election in November, right? The people who are in office, some of them who are leaving, are there until January. So in between the November election and the time the new session starts, lame duck is the session where they try to push all these laws through that they wouldn't do any other time. So some of these people lost, so these are their legacy laws. So they're trying to do the Voter Rights Act, they're trying to do some other stuff in Lansing right now at this moment because the Democrats happen to be in charge, right? When the Republicans were in charge, they got rid of right to work, which meant that unions really didn't have any power in the state. And then they got rid of, they codified emergency management, meaning they put a dollar amount to it. So instead of us just being able to get regular signatures to stop it, we had to get a supermajority and change the Constitution in order to stop that law. So emergency manager is still there. And so we done had Democrats in power. Shout out to Brenda Carter. She introduced the bill, but they ain't got it across the finish line to get rid of emergency management. And so now we have a city, even though I left them with $37 million. Big shout out to our previous council. We got a lot of headache. But things like the Phoenix Center, we helped broker that deal. And so now the county owns that building. They're going to bring 700 jobs down. But that started because we were able to put up a fight. And so they took out city newsletters against me. The Spirit of Pontiac was dedicated to talking about how Councilman Williams is going to make y'all pay $50 million and all that stuff. And taxpayers not only were able to get that money, but to save that money. Second thing, and then I'll open it back up to you, Regina. Bloomfield Park. So where you see the Audis and all of that stuff over there, the city had signed 2 50-year lease agreements that said that Pontiac was going to pay for the police, the fire, and the water. And they were about to redo that deal before they started doing the land. And nobody had read the contract. We sat in the office, we read everything because reading is fundamental. We read everything in that contract, and we were able to stop the process until the owners of Bloomfield Park, the landowners, agreed that they were going to cover all of those costs. So every year, we're saving almost $1 million in what we would have to pay to Bloomfield Park because the developers now have to pay that in perpetuity.
Wow,
and so those were the kind of things that's not sexy, that's not going to show up on a campaign flyer, but saves Pontiac money. And it's all about really not only going to the table, reading what you have to do, surrounding yourself with good people, but having the fortitude not to just be pushed because somebody said, I need a business. I literally told them in a meeting, big shout out to Mark Holland because he stood up with me on the Bloomfield Park along with my colleagues. We literally stood up in a meeting with the county. The county said if this deal doesn't happen today, it's not going to happen. I said it's been vacant 20 years, it can stay vacant another 20.
Ooh.
They came back and scheduled a special meeting that next 2 days later, and they had agreed to do the deal because they wanted that deal to happen too. And so when you go and get you some groceries, you go on the Five Guys Burgers over there, know that you can eat a burger without guilt because taxpayers in Pontiac are not paying for that debacle. But it was 2 50-year contracts. The reason the Phoenix Center is where it is because General Motors OnStar was in those towers, and so they gave them parking rights in perpetuity, sold the land, and nobody redid the contract or anything else in order to fix it. And so we've had a lot of bad deals throughout history in Pontiac because people were not only reading, and what separates me from all the other candidates, including the current mayor, is I love Pontiac. I don't just tolerate Pontiac. This is not a job for me.
That's good.
And so that's what makes the difference is because not only do I live here, right, I'm invested in it. The success of Pontiac, everything that I am, everything that I will be is because Pontiac people made me who I am. Everybody doesn't have that life experience. And so when they do it, they can just turn it off at 5 o'clock. At the end of the day, I can't get home with my bridge because I live off of Martin Luther King, right? The bridge is still out and broken. And we would never have another major city that has a bridge by a hospital that was not an emergency ordinance from the state to get that thing open.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have that. And so when you don't have that urgency.
What's the completion date on that, though?
After election. So a lot of completion dates on everything is after the election. So if you just look at people's brochures and all this other stuff, everybody ran on we were going to get a youth center done and all of this other stuff. And they didn't like the city council because Kermit was fighting with whoever. You have to fight evil. You can't just let it be because the citizens were hurting. And so a lot of times citizens don't know what they're up against. They only see what happens on a Tuesday meeting, right? Yeah. But people are trying to spend millions of dollars. They wanted us to bond for the Phoenix Center knowing we didn't have the money, knowing there's a structural deficit. They wanted to bring these things in, Regina, that were not good for the city, but they weren't telling people that. They telling people about the amphitheater, right? That's on top of it. We're going to turn the lights on the Phoenix Center. They literally had a State of the City address on top of the Phoenix Center where they piped in lights to give the impression that the building was up to code. That building hasn't been renovated in 30 years. Big chunks of concrete are literally falling on people's cars, and they wanted us to say that this building was salvageable and they could save it.
So, I got a question. This is, when you when you have new leaders like city council or even people that actually that run for positions, right? It could be school board, city council. You have individuals that come on and they don't have any experience, and then you, and I know that they go through like leadership courses, right? That they actually go to, right? But I think that it needs to be mandated or a law or where it's someone that has to, that it's seasonal, that stays there to kind of, you know, like over that particular school board or city council, because it's been so much change in the last 10 years, 15 years, where sometimes people are in positions and they're learning their first term and they don't have the right guidance to actually make things happen.
Yeah. No, yeah,
You know,
I agree with you. So,
I'm going slow with my words because I'm not into politics, right?
Yeah.
But I just can look like at the overall, just me being a citizen. Don't vote here, but just looking where people don't do right because they don't know.
yeah,
If you know, sometimes you do. I don't know if I said that right, but did I say that right, Dr. T?
I'm just listening.
Dr. T is not the politics. We both not
so
the,
let me-
we don't politic.
So-
That's why we're doing a lot of listening today.
So most places have what's called staggered terms. So they would have like 3 council people run in one election. We have it on the school board, right? So we just elected 3 school board people, and then the other 4 stayed on, right? And then they'll have an election next year. So you keep that knowledge base in there. So we just elected 8 new people, right? So we elected a new mayor, 7 new council people, and so they're all learning on the job, doing the best they can. Shout out to council president Patrice Waterman. Before this council got started, we worked on training them and giving them everything that we knew, but we just worked on a new charter where now we're going to have a integrity officer that's there, and their term is going to last in between mayoral terms.
It's an integrity officer? Is that new?
Office of Public Integrity. Yep. So we just voted on a brand new charter last year. I was the vice chair of the charter. Shout out to Tamika Ramsey. She was the chair. Gil Garrett was on there. Shout out to Trustee Garrett. Jose Ybarra was on there. Scott Stewart was on there. Lucy Payne was on there. Dr. Bruce Turpin, who was on the last charter revision, was on there. Brian Killiam was on there, and Norbert Burrows. So we had a very eclectic group of people. It was like 9 people making a pizza, but we got a good product out to the citizens. I don't agree with everything that's in there, but it's going to put us in a huge place. One of the things that we had a problem with in the old charter was it just yielded to people's better angels. So it's 32 pages. If everybody did right, the charter worked. But if you had somebody doing wrong, it did not really encompass that. So now we have an Office of Public Integrity who will be able to answer to not only the mayor and the council, but the citizens of Pontiac when something needs to be investigated. So I watch council meetings all the time, right? The council will ask for a report on retiree healthcare. Where is it? The administration will say, okay, we received your recommendation for a report, and then 6 months later, it'll never happen, right?
That's my point.
But the integrity person is going to push to make it happen.
That's my point.
Well, not only push to make it happen, but it's going to be a list out to say that this didn't get responded to.
So that's
This is the impediment, right? So
Follow up.
Accountability.
Follow up, yeah.
accountability to follow up that doesn't have to go to court. So right now, under the old charter, if the council has a problem with the mayor, all they can do is basically sue. And that spends thousands of taxpayer dollars on most things that are trivial that don't need to be done. So now you got an Office of Public Integrity that can make a report and say, I've looked at this side, I've looked at that side, and this is my recommendation, right? And that report also goes to the citizens. So if it says the mayor, whoever that is, should provide that report, then the citizens will know that the mayor should have provided that report. Because what happens is we get to elections and most people don't watch council meeting, so they don't know if somebody's doing a good job or a bad job.
Right.
We haven't had a finance director stay almost in 8 years now. It's just, it's just things that just would be unconscionable, right? So city not paying its bills from January of this year, just people don't know these things, right? And so some of these things can be looked at through the integrity officer, so I'm very happy about that. Also, we've had some unfortunate things happened in the past with bribery and other things.
Yeah.
We never had an office to investigate that, right? So we have a HR office, but they work for the administration. So what happens if somebody in the administration is doing wrong? Who do they exclude,
Who did
right?
that count for?
Right. Who accounts for that, right? And so just having an Office of Public Integrity, I think, will raise the standard of
Yeah.
what we have in the city, and also their term is going to last throughout that part.
That's real good. So Kermit, I hear you talking about these things. So I just so happened was on social media this week, right? And I get on social media, I put up a quote or I put up something and I try to get off. But I was on there and I seen a lot of things that were being said about the city. There were some people, they were talking about the grants, they were talking about those persons that didn't get grants. So you have people who are vested in the city, like you talked about, people who have businesses in the city, and some of them applied and they may not have gotten the grant, right? So how do you encourage those people who are really vested in the city? Because you're vested, right? I was born and raised Pontiac, right? And so you have people vested in the city, they're spending their dollars here, they have businesses here. How do you keep them encouraged when things like grants come up and they can't get them?
Change leadership. I didn't apply for the grant for Kermit Presents and show I need the money, but I didn't want the city all in my business because I didn't trust the confidentiality of the city. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
I didn't trust that, and so it's a lot
Can
of
I
people.
say that I do? Okay.
That people didn't apply. So I'm not blaming any particular person. It's a system
Yeah.
that has failed, right? You don't have a public and open rubric of how you're grading these people across the board. So my recommendation was to increase the amount of money that you gave to the grant and just give everybody across the board who applied a portion of money, whether it be $25,000 or $20,000. If you applied, because we all got hit by COVID, everybody who applied should have just gotten a piece of money. What ended up happening was they put businesses against businesses and things that were not supported. So what we did immediately after we saw the grant debacle and how it just wasn't utilized in a way. And I know people really tried to make it work. So shout out to all of those council people and the people who worked for administration that tried to make it work. But when you start off on a bad foot, it's hard to recover. And they were rushing. See, the problem is the deadline for all of this money to be obligated, which is a fancy word for it's got to be assigned to somebody
Immediately, you're
before
going
it
to
can
lose
be
it.
spent, before December 31st.
Yeah.
And they were set to lose $14.7 million. And the problem is we left them with all that money. The previous mayor was trying to spend money in ways that were unconscionable. So the city council literally froze that money until the next administration came. They all came into office knowing that they had this $30 million that needed to be allocated and needed to be spent. 4 years later, and one of the reasons I'm running is because they wasted that opportunity as a collective. So I know individual people were working really hard. They got some homeless money. They got some really good things in there. So I'm pleased with some of the things that the council did. So it's not a knock on them. It's not even a knock on administration, but it's a lack of vision to set out what it is. And so I came out with a rubric, and some people are mad at me because I came out with how you could spend that 14.7. And they said, well, Kermit should have gave this to me 6 months ago. I gave y'all 4 years to come up with your own plan. You're telling me in 4 hours I can tell you how to spend this money and other people can't? And so I worked with our legislative people. I worked with the Congresswoman's office, and Pontiac got some help because I knew where the keys were, right? I know who to talk to about federal money. That's Congresswoman Haley Stevens. And a lot of times, people just don't know who to go to.
Yeah.
Right? And so they were able to do that. They worked with the council, and so that money is allocated. Is it allocated in the way that I would have spent it? No. But it's allocated. The city of Pontiac is not going to lose it. But when you start talking about that grant, they're like, we're going to do a second round of grants, but you're going to open it up to new people, and you haven't made the people whole that applied in the first place. We spend a whole lot of money on technical assistance, and you're telling me their applications are not good. Well, why did you spend money on technical assistance? Why did you even put that out there if you weren't going to help these businesses doing that? If I'm making hamburgers, right, and that's all I know how to do, writing grants probably is not the thing that I'm doing. Most businesses don't do that,
That's
right? Right? And so let me make my hamburgers. If my hamburger is good, give me the money because I've been making hamburgers. I've been doing business. Let me show you my financials. Let me show you that when I make these hamburgers, they sell I got a Yelp rating of 5 stars. Right? You should give me this. But how do you have people submit for $50,000 without asking them for a budget? I'll wait.
Oh, shit, that's about to make me cuss.
I'll wait.
Because
Because I can't
Yeah,
go.
that's gonna make me cuss.
I can't go
What
to
you gonna
Regina
do with
just
your
with my
money?
ID and be like, yeah, I'm driving off the lot. Let's go, Joe Hammer. Like, let's do it.
We're
Like,
gonna
I
say,
won't be
yeah,
elected.
we're gonna say, yeah, put the application unless you paying cash.
Uh-huh.
Put that credit application in, right?
Uh-huh.
You can get it with an ID, but you got to get some insurance.
So
Where we gonna run your ID?
listen, they didn't run nothing, right? And so now they at the last minute talking to people saying, well, if we vetted and find out that you don't qualify, now we're gonna take your grant away. But we done announced your name at a public meeting, affected your business, because now people saying, well, you got $50,000, so I'm not buying your T-shirt
Right, because you don't need it.
because you don't need the money.
Yeah.
Nah, and I didn't get it. So we put our businesses against each other, and that's unfortunate, right?
Yeah,
That's a very unfortunate thing to have happen. So what we decided to do with Kermit Presents, and I'm very excited because I have some very intelligent people around me, and they give me great ideas all the time. And so when we get elected, Lord willing,
The Lord is always willing.
we're gonna put a great
You
team
hear me?
together.
The Lord is always
With
'Cause he
expertise. Yeah, I know. I hear you. I hear you. But part of this is people getting past my personality. So that's one of the things we got to work on. But we're working on that. We got a year to put that together. But we're coming out with a Kermit Presents directory. So everybody can know what Pontiac-based businesses are there. So we're putting churches in there, nonprofits in there, all the businesses, and we're going to actually have physical copies. It's going to be a big, thick book that we're going to come out with a directory, and it's going to be an online version too.
I think I'm going
And
to submit my stuff.
And so we're working on that. And it's not just limited to people who have brick and mortars in Pontiac. If you're doing stuff in Pontiac, we're going to put you in this directory so people can know where to get these services. And so that's one of the keys. How can we help? And so if you look at the Kermit Presents for this month, even though the city of Pontiac itself never wants to give me
Can I
any
have my
money to
birthday?
support it. Yep, here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got the tree lighting. I got the holiday parade. I got all of the council members' holiday parties and things in the directory. Even though people are not donating to that, we know that people need that information. And so we've been doing that and supporting what's going on. And a lot of the businesses who got the grant applications are in the book. So I'm excited about that. But a lot of them who didn't are also in the book. And I'm not excited about that. And so, but we have to come together. And so when you see a Kermit Presents, it's not about a clique. And I think that's part of what we have to get to as a city. Pontiac has to feel like it's opportunity for everybody, not just based on people that you know. I had so many people say, I'm not even going to apply for the grant because the city already knows who they're picking. Before the application even came out, they already know. And so we
Because they said
Look,
because
why you look
because
at
they-
me when you
because
said that,
what they
Kermit?
said what they say is it's
But
fa-
why you look over at me with
I
smiling?
didn't know. Listen,
Oh,
I
well, he
just
said
felt your
it.
spirit.
but what they say is it's favoritism. I think that's what it is.
But that's
People
what-
say it's favoritism.
What I'm saying is I've never been a favorite, Regina.
Oh,
Right?
I
You
didn't
get what I'm
apply,
saying?
so I mean,
But no, I'm saying I've always been the underdog in my life.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we want to reduce those barriers. You know what I'm saying? Day one, we want people to feel like there's open office hours. I'm one of the few council people that had office hours. So when I first got started on city council, every Tuesday from 1 to 5 o'clock, people could come see me. Regardless of who they were in the city, if they lived in my district or not, they could come to my office and visit me in order to do that. We're going to bring that back as mayor. We're going to take Fridays and actually go see our businesses and go support them every week, because those are the kind of things that we need to make sure that that's there. That's all I'm saying. We got to remove the barriers that people have to feel like they need more keys to get in the city. And that's the issue. You shouldn't have to have a certain name. You shouldn't have to have a certain following. You shouldn't have to know somebody in order to get there. You should not be able to get a job application for the city and they know because your cousin used to work there that they're against you. It just needs to be open to everybody because we all pay taxes. We all contribute to the city, and people need to feel that way. We got to remove that stigma where there's so many gatekeepers in key positions that people feel like they can't plug in. When I walk, it's so funny. One of the things that I think would be most helpful and the most bang for our buck in City Hall is really simple. Having a greeter. We don't have a greeter when we walk in the city. Some of those people in those
So where should they be when they first walk in the
Listen, so we had a greeting booth right there. It's now income tax.
Like you going to church and you got the greeter.
But you need to have a greeter. We've got so many seasoned citizens.
So we have a person that wants to know where can they pick up a copy of Kermit Presents.
You can always pick them up in the clerk's office. If you are unable to drive, just inbox me on Facebook. I will bring it to your house, especially if you're a seasoned citizen, because we got a group now. The list is growing, which is phenomenal. So we're trying to get some money. If Regina donates, then we'll be able to finally, deliver some and put some in the mail. But right now, I'm just driving them from house to house, from hamlet to hamlet.
Okay, so
I love how he keeps putting it on you. So he's referencing you. So make sure.
I'm gonna get in real quick. So listen, we did have some questions that we did put on the screen this morning. We need to give one test drive away here. One of the questions was, how many dealerships does Joe Longhammer own in Michigan? We are giving away a 4-day test drive on an electric Blazer. You can drive up to 400 miles. So you guys got to call, comment, answer the question. And what was the second question?
The second question came from Kermit, and he says Pontiac's two biggest assets are blank and blank.
So we want to give this away. So you guys take a guess, say something.
And we got one last question. How long has Regina and myself been together on bids, being the driver's seat? How many years have we been together? So if you answer any one of those questions, you will be the person to win a free, y'all hear free, 4-day vehicle. Test drive it for 4 days.
Electric vehicle.
And you must bring your ID. You must have valid driver's license. And you must have insurance. And you got to leave your car on the lot with the keys.
So if you can, the great thing about electric Blazer, electric car, I have a electric Blazer. So to give away a car, we'll let you have a car for 4 days.
400 miles.
100% charge. Yeah, you can come to the dealership and charge it too for free. If you need to charge it during that time. But yeah, we're giving away a free car for 4 days, but you got to leave your car.
So
that's huge.
Come on.
That is huge. I've never drove an electric vehicle, so if y'all ain't gonna answer the question, I'll answer it, and make sure I get my 400.
Well, we can put you. We can put.
You can put me.
We can put you on the. You can be on the list.
Yeah, you on the list.
Yeah.
See, I'm a co-host. I'm on the list. Like y'all don't understand how happy I am right now. So I don't know if this show is for y'all or for me. I'm feeling good right now and making my mama proud, which is a good thing, Regina. But because we talk about sacrifice today, and I know you got your people to tap in and tune in. I think it's going to take all of us sacrificing our egos and coming together to make Pontiac what we wanted to make it. We're not Detroit. We're not Troy. We're not Birmingham. We're Pontiac. And I think somewhere along the line, we've lost.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Patricia Cameron said 14 years.
14 years
14
what?
years what? That we've been together on being the driver's seat?
No.
Nope.
That's not right.
Nope.
That's not right.
Me and Regina have not been together 14 years. Well, far as on being the driver's seat, that's true. Man,
We have not been together 14 years.
not on being the driver's seat, no.
No.
But far as buying vehicles,
No,
we
we
don't
said-
say nothing about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think part of it is not only sacrificing the egos, but really getting back to the core fiber of what Pontiac is, right? Pontiac's greatest asset is its people and its location, and we haven't tapped into that. Pontiac is too small to feel this unfriendly right now. And so the small business grant and how it was rolled out brings out what we are lacking right now. We should want everybody to win, right?
Wake up to win.
But we also got to make sure that the processes are fair.
That's true.
And so the city's got to get out of the way and actually foster these things. It's so interesting, right? So I print my newsletter. Shout out to Jason Bauer. He does a phenomenal job. Original Print Shop in Pontiac, union-based and all that good stuff, right?
Shout out to Jason.
The city prints out their newsletter also, right? Imagine if we had a mayor and a council that said that in our city newsletter, we want to highlight businesses also. Every month we want to pick a notable business in Pontiac. And then the citizens all get together and say, we're going to money bomb this business. We make people rich all the time.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do.
We've
do.
chosen not to make each other rich. Imagine if we just treated Dr. T's business like Amazon, right? We said, listen, we're going to make sure that we give her all the referrals. From whoever I was going to send to, I'm going to send them all to Dr. T, right? Dr. T gets rich and famous. She's all booked up. She uses her platform and her referrals to do the same thing, takes that to Elam Brothers. Elam Brothers does that and takes it to the clothing company. The clothing company does that and takes it to the next business. And now we've got a Pontiac ecosystem that's making this money go together. But it takes leadership to pull people together. That's not about them. Kermit Presents was just an idea because we saw businesses hurting out of the pandemic. They had $37 million, and they said, listen, we're not going to even advertise the business grant in the Kermit Presents. Because we funded 5 or 6 people that's in the Kermit Presents on a regular basis. But they didn't put any advertisement into getting the message out. Because our message goes to people and places that they're not in. You can mail it to everybody in Pontiac. You're not going to the homeless shelter and putting something in there. We've got places that the resources that are on our back goes to doctors' offices and they give it to all of their patients. These are places that the city's not touching, but it takes leadership. And like I said, I've got a great team of people around me giving me good suggestions all the time. And we're just going to increase that because when we assume leadership in the city, we're going to be able to listen to not only the best ideas, but we're going to put them in a way where you don't have to be a special person to be able to share your idea. You don't have to know somebody in order to do that. And that's going to be what brings the city back because there's a lot of people that are sitting on treasures, ideas, resources, and they just don't want to deal with Pontiac enough to bring it in here. I'm talking to grocery stores right now, trying to get them here, right? I got a call next week with Winn-Dixie. I'm trying to get them in Pontiac. We say, listen, we need to bring something that's not even in the state here. So we're not competing. We're not doing
Because when
it with
Dixie
Walmart.
is in Florida.
Yeah, down south. That's what.
That's
Winn
Dixie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring some different things to Pontiac because we are unique, and we're going to lean into that uniqueness in order to be successful. We're not about to duplicate any of these other cities. We're going to contact everybody we can reach out to, and so the mayor has to be the chief cheerleader to the city. We've put a lot of people in position because we thought they had connections to get certain things done. And now we have to really realize
y'all
that you
did.
got to realize and push people in there. So I just thank y'all for being here. Y'all have made my Saturday. I'm going to the parade. I'm going to pass out some candy today, but I'm excited that I'm here. So invite me back. I don't know if people like the show or not today, but I loved it. So thank you so much.
Let's see if we got some winners. I know that it's time for us to wrap up, but let's see if we got any winners on. Do we have anybody?
The young lady said 14 years.
That's
Cornelia.
That's Patricia Cameron. That's I work with
No,
Pat.
I thought I said Cornelia.
Oh no, Cornelia asked about Kermit Presents.
Who said who? Go back to the comments. Who said 14 years?
Patricia Cameron.
Oh,
That's Pat. Hey,
Hey,
Pat.
Pat.
I hope you feeling well this morning.
Pat, so you were close. You wouldn't know because you were
Lakeisha
close.
said, "Go Kermit." Lakeisha Moore.
So we can't leave here without giving away at least two. We gotta
Well-
make something simple.
All right.
All right, guess again, people.
Guess
Come
again.
on,
Come
guess
on.
again. We
Guess
gotta
again.
Yeah.
give
So
at least
Kermit
two.
said
Kermit gonna
that-
take one of them.
Kermit
So
says
we're gonna-
Pontiac's best asset, number one asset. He gave you 2 words.
Now you know that's gonna be too hard for them to answer real quick.
No, he just said it 5 times throughout the show.
Probably 6.
Okay.
we need to give away at least 2.
Come on, we need 2 people to respond so you guys can drive this electric vehicle. You get to drive it for 4 days, 100 miles a day.
400
Come on,
miles
400
total.
miles total. And you get to pull up and recharge it. Come on, y'all. We want to get these 2 vehicles away.
We gotta make something simple. Let's make something simple.
All right. Where's Kermit going when he leave here today?
Okay, y'all got it.
Where's Kermit?
Where is he
Kermit just
going?
announced he's getting ready to leave here today and he's going to pass out some candy. Where is he going to pass the candy out at? All right.
And next question.
He said the people. Okay, Chantel.
What did she say?
He said the people are the greatest assets. Come on,
Oh,
Chantel.
Chantel.
Okay. Chantel is she been listening. She
Chantel.
wins, and she.
Do you know
me and
Chantel?
Chantel and I go to church together. So shout out to Chantel this morning.
So Chantel is one of the winners then.
Yeah, you one of the winners. You get to drive a EV, electric vehicle, for 4 days. So you need to get in contact with Regina. Who else? We got one more.
You can reach out to Dr. T and then you
You-
can get
you
my
can-
number.
I'll give you, text me, Chantel. I'll give you Regina's number and she can set you up with that vehicle.
Well, my number is no secret, okay? So I might just go ahead and give it to you. My number is not private. So my number is 248-431-2955.
Yes, Cornelia, you are the second winner. He said
She
the
is,
holiday
she is. So we got
extravaganza
our 1, 2.
parade.
Well, let's
So
go
we
ahead and
have-
get our third winner then.
Okay, anybody else? We got one
I got
more.
you when you want to test drive too.
Okay.
Yeah, we got one more. We got one more. Oh, Miss Cameron said 16 years.
So who was that? Who was the first winner?
So the first winner was Chantel.
Chantel.
Yep. And
Okay.
the second winner was Cornelia. And listen, Pat is trying to guess. She don't know. But we might as well go and throw Pat in there. Because she done tried 3 times.
All right, y'all got to give them the answer.
Gotta give an answer.
Y'all
Gotta give an answer.
How long have y'all been on there together?
Okay, so we actually have been doing Be in the Driver's Seat together for 3 years. We coming up on our 4th year. Said, yes, as Be in the Driver's Seat, yes. But prior to this, Regina has had Be in the Driver's Seat in some other platforms. So if y'all Googled it and got them numbers, I don't know.
So what? So now that you gave away the answer, what's gonna be the third one?
What's going to be the third one?
Third question. Because
Kermit?
what's the third question? We got 2
No,
people.
somebody got to type in and let you know that they watching. So the first person who can type that in and let you know that y'all been in the driver's seat for 3 years.
She
is
just
gonna
gave him the
be-
answer though.
Okay.
Listen, but they got to type it. They got to
Okay,
Come
he
on,
wants
who
y'all to
can
type
type?
it. Who gonna
Who
type?
gonna-
Who's
Who
the
can
first
type
one
the
gonna
number
it?
3? If you type the number 3,
First
you are the
person.
third winner. Come on,
First
who can
person to
type
type
number 3?
it.
The first person to type number 3. Come on, y'all.
All right,
This
okay.
vehicle-
If
vehicle
you
is
can't type in
waiting.
3, type in what the word of the day was today.
What was that?
What was the word of the day? We talked about it for about 30 minutes. What was the word?
All right, y'all. We got 25 seconds for you guys to get that answer.
Come on. So while we're in, let me just make a quick announcement here. I wanted to make this real quick while we're waiting on the answer. So Hunger Has No Season, Christmas fundraiser by Pontiac Meals on Wheels Foundation. We're having it December 21st from 6:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is it in the book? It's at thank you. Wow. Okay. It's at Sunset Boulevard, located downtown Pontiac, 7 North Saginaw Street, Pontiac, Michigan. Drinks, food, and live music. So what we're doing, we're asking for a donation. So it's not a cost, it's not a charge to get in, but we're asking for a donation. Ronnie McNear of the Four Tops, he's actually performing for us that night. So no admission. We're just asking for a generous donation. Again, that's December 21st. It starts at 6:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. and doors open at 6:30. Yeah, and it's free. Pontiac Meals on Wheels. So you guys don't stop on by and stopping by and see us.
Right.
Oh,
Okay, so we
you
saw
already
Cornelia.
won.
Cornelia
You
already won.
So
Anybody else?
we need
Let's
somebody
see.
else. Now, you won
You
one.
won one already, Cornelia. Who else we got? Anybody else? New name? Do I see a 3 somewhere?
So you guys can
I
reach
see a
me.
3.
My
Okay,
number is
Chantel said
248-431-2955. And yeah, if you miss my number, go ahead and text Dr. T. But you guys got to get in line this week. So you can't wait till when you want to do it. You got to get on the list. Okay? You got to get on the list.
Oh, Cornelia said, congratulations, Patricia. Did Patricia put the 3 up there?
No, Patricia didn't put the 3.
Yes, she did. Oh, I
did.
see it. Oh, congratulations, Pat. You are the
Hey,
3rd
Pat.
winner.
All right, Pat.
Okay. So,
So-
Regina, give them your number again.
777-9311. Okay, it's 248. Can you put it in the comments? 248-431-2955. 248-431-2955. You got to text me. You got to text me and get on the list. So Chantel was the first person. Actually, it starts on Monday. It does start on Monday. So it's not when you want it. It's when I'm doing it. So Monday is the first test drive. What you have to have is your driver's license. You have to have your proof of insurance, and you have to leave your car. So it starts Monday. I'll be at work at 9:30. I have a 9:30 appointment. So you got to pick it up sometime on Monday between 9:30 and 4:30. 9:30 and 4:30. And it has to be Monday. Has to be Monday. And if you can't do Monday, I'm going to have to go. Matter of fact, you need to text me today or tomorrow. You need to shoot me a text at 248-431-2955. Because if you can't do it on Monday, Chantel, I'm going to have to go on down the list to the next person. So you got to call, you got to text me, you got to give me your name. I got to put you on the list. So, all right.
All right. Happy Saturday, everybody.
So excited we gave this away.
Yeah,
So excited.
I'm very excited. I never drove an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
If y'all are not following, be in the driver's seat. Y'all missing out. So make sure y'all follow that
Thank you
page
for
right
that.
now. Click that button.
Thank you
Make
for
sure
that.
y'all get these ladies. Like I told y'all, it's all about supporting our own. Make sure y'all get these ladies 1 million followers. So follow. Share it with your cousin and them. If they was giving out free hair, y'all would be doing it. So make sure y'all support being in the driver's seat.
And we're also on YouTube too. We're on YouTube, so we live stream every Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 9 o'clock, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. But we're also live on YouTube at the same time. So you guys get on, give us a follow. If you're new to us, thank you, Kermit, for saying that. Give us a follow because we forget to say that every week. So next week, who's on next week? We got
Next week is the second. Next week is the second Saturday. Right?
second Saturday.
So it's the second Saturday. You have Delicious Sweets Bake Shop, the CEO and owner of Craven Cookies, Sierra Crudup. She will be on, and Regina has a special person that will be calling in.
And then you'll have somebody too. We'll have a packed show.
So we'll see you next Saturday.